Hey friends, Patrick here. Man, thank you so much for watching. This is a little different than our normal message series due to our live recording was audio issues. So here I am from right here in my office. I get to share this word with you. So jump in with me right here, really episode 2 of our series entitled Don't Waste Your Life. Don't waste your life. What do you live for, right? What do you live for? Well, as a believer, as a Christ follower, we live for certain cultures, certain things laid out in Scripture that is clear. And so last week, man, we kicked off this series and we dealt with the culture of evangelism, right? Evangelism is so key. But remember this, that evangelism may be the drivetrain, right? It may be the means by what we're it's what we do, right? It's sharing, it's bringing others to the saving knowledge of Christ. But can I tell you this? The engine of evangelism is discipleship. Discipleship. It must be discipleship, and everywhere else on planet Earth we see that, right? If you're wanting to go to school for welding, right? They're not just going to sit you in a classroom and tell you about the theories of welding and how this is how it should be done. This is what the best way to apply the weld and to make sure you check your work. No, you're gonna go through school and then they're gonna send you out with a journeyman and you're gonna be their apprentice, right? You're gonna learn. Same way with auto mechanics, General Dynamics, name it. Name a field where someone just throws you out there with no training. No, it doesn't exist because we know that's not the best way. Well, for years, I don't know why, we've tried to cheat the system in the church, and we've tried to say that you can get by without being a disciple. You can be a good Christian, just come to church on Sunday, give a little money offering plate, you'll survive. No. We're not surviving. We need discipleship. We kicked it off last week with talking about our first disciples, and that's our marriage. If you're married, your first number one disciple is that spouse. You're called to them first, and you must make sure they're being properly discipled, that they're growing in the Word. If you're watching this, you say, Patrick, my spouse don't believe. Man, pray for them. You don't know the power of prayer. Prayer is so powerful, so be praying for them, be loving them. Do you know you can still be discipling those that are lost by the way you live? You're showing them Jesus. You're acting as Christ would act. You're the hands and feet of Jesus. And so you could already be building that bridge even though they've yet to be regenerated. And so keep that in mind. So we talked about marriage. Marriage is so cool. We saw that the wife is a picture and the taste of God's beauty, right? We saw how the husband is a touch of God's bounty. And then we saw together, that them together is the task of God's body, that you are better together in your marriage when you both follow Christ. And so you can watch last week's video to get some encouragement there. We're going to move into this second part that Paul gives us here in Ephesus as he's writing to the church at Ephesus, but it also obviously applies today. So you need to be discipling. You need to be evangelizing your family. If you're married, that starts with your spouse, okay? But then also some of you got little bitties running in the house, okay? Those are your priority disciples as well, all right? So often we as pastors, we're guilty. We'll disciple the church or disciple the flock of God, and we'll forget our very family. Oh man, that is so heartbreaking. That is sad. You have little ones in your home, and I get to be the lead pastor at Connection. I love it. I wouldn't change it for the world. But can I tell you this? Something happened to me, they can find another preacher. They can find another pastor. I bet it. There's probably one out there a whole lot better than me. But can I tell you this? My children can never find another dad. I'm the only dad they have. My spouse, my wife, I'm her only husband, right? And so you understand, I can't be replaced as a father, okay? And so I must make those relationships right. So I must be discipling my kids. Evangelism is as important. And so look at our children. Children are to obey their parents, right? We see that. So look at it with me, verse 1 of chapter 6. The Bible says this, I'm reading out of Ephesians, children, obey your parents in the Lord, because this is right. Honor your father and mother, which is the first commandment with a promise, so that it may go well with you and that you may have a long life in the land. Fathers, don't stir up your children to anger, but bring them up in the training and instruction of the Lord. The version I memorized is the admiration of the Lord, right? The admonition of the Lord. That they want to be equipped and armed to follow the Lord. That's a huge thing. And guys, that's our job as parents. That's what we get to do. And so our number one disciples behind our spouse are our children. Okay? Our children, they are to obey their parents, but this doesn't just mean that the kids have responsibility to obey. No, but this also puts the responsibility on us parents to teach them to obey, right? They would not know how to obey, okay, unless we teach them. So that's big. The responsibility is shared, okay? And this is the most important jobs as a parent. What does it say in Proverbs? Lo, children are the heritage of the Lord. You know that word translated in the ancient language is occupation. Do you know that your children are your first occupation? Now, one day they'll grow up, they'll move out. There won't be a lot you could do then to rear them. But right now, they are your job. If they're under your house, man, you're called to disciple them. They are your little disciples. So don't forget that. What do they need? Here it is, real quick. 3 things. Number 1, they need correction. They need correction. A child don't know. We do not let kids make adult decisions. There's a reason behind that. They don't know. Are they dumb? No. I never said that. Very smart, very quick-witted, very keen on what's going around. If you think your child's dumb, guess who the dumb one is? Exactly. Yeah, they're not. They are very smart. God's given them intuition and mind. Do you know the same intuition, the same things built in you right now were in you when you were a child? They just had to be developed. They had to be matured. And so your child has that. They have all the parts they need. And so they need correction. And this comes by physical touch. Physical touch matters. Physical touch matters. We can correct through love. We correct through showing the better way. Okay, physical touch can be very soft, very very comforting, very assuring. When we grab our child and we hold it close, hold him or she close, and we just let them feel our heartbeat, let them feel our presence. That makes them feel safe. It takes their anxiety down, right? It takes the pressure of life down. Can I tell you this? You know, wrestling with your kids, that strong, that squeezing, that helps anxiety. So actually, even before they go to bed, a while before they go to bed, not as you're tucking them in, but even before they go to bed, if you spend about an hour or so before they go to bed and you kind of wrestle with them, you roll around with them, take them outside, push them on the swing set, squeeze them a little bit, it helps them release a lot of hormones, a lot of things that have been built up during the day, to where when you do lay them down, they just fall asleep, right? Because they felt that parent physical touch. And it's so important. It's so very important. But then not only do they need correction, because sometimes that physical touch has to be harsh. Sometimes, I don't know how you discipline your children, but sometimes it has to be a spanking, a safe, a healthy spanking where you remind them no, right? My son, I would spank him a little harder because he was tough. My girls, as they were growing up, just a little pop. I say, no, and man, they would melt, right? You don't have to abuse your children. Actually, that's against the law. No, it doesn't need that. It is safe instruction that shows them correction, right? That's how powerful physical touch is. If you've had that growing up, good or bad, you know how powerful it is, right? I don't have to convince you. So our children need that. That teaches them they care. That teaches them that we care, And then also direction. So your words matter. So correction, we have to use physical touch sometimes. As you use physical touch, let me tell you this, when they're young, as they get old, you won't have to use this as much. You'll just have to speak. And your words will be weighty because you've done the preliminaries of actual physical touch. But then also direction. Your words matter. So you want to tell them where you're going. You want to point them in the right direction. Your children want to know where the boundaries are. They don't like the guess. They want you to be clear. Have you noticed one of the most powerful animals on the face of the earth, 1,500 pound animal that runs wild until we break them, right? The horse, the Mustang, right? We can break that horse. We can train it to listen to us just by the bridle in its mouth. Do you know once you break that 1,200 pound beast, that beast that can run miles and miles, that beast that can pull down barns and can drag thousands of pounds, that beast, once you tame him, have you noticed the fences we put them behind? Have you noticed the way we build their range and their ranch where they live? It's not huge 10-foot tall chain link fence with barbed wire. No, it's not electrodes under the ground and a shock collar. No. What is it? It's little 4x4s or 2x4 rummage that's just popped up. And have you noticed the horses staying back? They can hop right over it. Why do they stay behind it? Because they've been trained that where they're at, they're safe. To hop over those little fences is dangerous. They've been trained. And guys, can I tell you this? That's exactly how children are. Now, don't get me wrong. They have a conscience. They have a soul. So actually, they're more capable of dangerous, crazy, wild, awesome things than a horse is. But listen, they want to know where the boundaries are. They want to know where the buttons are. Okay, that's why they push yours, because they want to know how much does this person love me. And guys, can I tell you, this is wisdom I learned from James Dobson a long time ago. But can I tell you this, when you, especially you guys that got preteens or into teenagers, and you try and draw in or you try and lean in and they want to push back, can I tell you what they're doing? Yes, they're wanting to see how far you're going to lean in. They're not pushing back and say, get out. And they're not slamming the door to say, this is my space. Listen, they're wanting to say, how far is this parent willing to go to get me? That's exactly what they're saying. So when they pull back, and don't be obnoxious, don't be overbearing, but when they pull back, just lean in a little bit. Lean in a little bit and say, hey, what's going on? Did I offend you? Did I hurt you? Did I come across wrong? Hey, listen, maybe I was being too harsh in that. Maybe you didn't deserve that discipline. But can we talk through that? I'm not giving up on you. I'm here for you. And sometimes you do need to give them a little space, let them cool off. But when they're cooled off, you come back and you say, hey, buddy, sweetheart, I'm here for you. Okay? A dad can do that. A mom can do that. Don't let them pull away. Teenagers, you listen to me. You here watching this? Give your parents a chance. All right? Give them a little subtle hints, like we know you like to do. Let them know you want to see how far they'll lean in to chase you, to pursue you. That's why direction matters. Man, speak life to your children. Okay? Don't regurgitate junk. Don't vomit nasty bitterness on them because maybe you didn't have as a child. Listen, speak life. Okay? Don't spoil them. Correct them. Give them fair warnings. Let them know where the boundaries are. Can I tell you this? When our children were small, we only spanked them for two things. If they lied to us, right? They totally lied to us, or they disobeyed us. That was it. That we didn't just spank them for everything. We didn't say, you didn't clean up your toys, spank. Okay? We didn't say, oh my goodness, don't do that ever again, spank. No, because they didn't know. So we gave them, hey, listen, if you're untruthful with us, you're going to your room, you have to get a whooping. If you disobey us after we've asked you to do, remember, delayed obedience is still disobedience, okay? Delayed obedience is still disobedience. And so when they disobey us, that's when we had to have a talk. Hey, guys, these are the parameters where we have to inflict physical discipline, okay? We didn't do it all the time. That's why then they knew, right? They're little humans too. They want respect. They want to know where the boundaries are. Tell them, be clear. Don't change them every time your hormones bounce up and down. Be steady, guys. That's called being a parent. You're not their friend. You are their parent. Show them love. Correct them. Direct them. And lastly, protect them. Your presence matters. Your presence matters. How do we show the best protection? Is it make a ton of money and put a bunch of trust funds up for them? Nah. If you can do that, praise God, do it. Is it buy them a big truck and make sure they're safe with all the curtain airbags and the front airbags and you know how? No. Your protection is simply spoken through presence. Presence. Be there. Be there. tuck them in at night. If you can, now God bless you guys that are deployed or have jobs that swing shifts and you miss a lot of stuff. I get that. Man, listen, if that's you, FaceTime them, send them letters, be involved in their life. If you're in a split family, divorced and you can't see them all the time, man, be in their life. Send them letters, send them drawings, send them little gifts. Let them know, show up to their school and eat lunch with them. Be at their games. That's how you let them know they're safe and secure because you're there. More than anything, they'll remember you telling them. More than anything, they'll remember you buying for them. Listen, they're going to remember you being there. They're going to remember your presence. They don't care how much you know till they know how much you care. That's settled. And so that's how you protect them. That's how you correct them. That's how you direct them, guys. Your children need you. And sometimes it means doing things we don't like, okay? I use this example at church, but I couldn't stand soccer. My daughter wanted to play soccer. I'm like, please, no, anything. Like she was already doing gymnastics. I love watching her tumble and do flips, and gymnastics impresses me. Soccer bores me. My daughter started playing. Year 1 was rough. Year 2, Dad started shouting a little more, understanding the rules. Man, by year 3, dude, let me tell you something. It's hard for me to sit in a Mexican restaurant without soccer playing, and I'm like watching, and I'm engaged now. Why? Because it was important to her. So I made it important to me. You see, guys, it's not that hard. You just got to put forth a little effort, show you care. Your children will become good disciples. Have you noticed I didn't even bring anything up about reading the Word, praying over them? All that matters, absolutely. But guys, listen, they don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. So show them how much you care first. That will create an appetite, a palate for them to listen to you sharing the scripture with them, praying over them, teaching them how to read the Word. That right there will create that, and it'll create that desire. Listen, guys, how are you discipling your children to become more like Christ? Are you correcting them, or are you protecting them? Are you directing them? And then here's our last point. We talked about marriage last week, and tonight, children, and then how else do we evangelize? Through our relationships at work and school. Watch what the Apostle Paul says in Ephesians. Check it out. It says, and he goes down to verse 5. He used the term slaves here. Now that's, it really translated servants, right? Servants, slaves. It says, obey your human masters with fear and trembling, in the sincerity of your heart, as you would Christ. Don't work only while being watched as people pleasers, but as slaves to Christ. Do God's will from your heart. Guys, I want you to see that. The term here in Greek is doulos, okay? Doulos. And it doesn't mean slave. Like when we think of slave, we think automatically negative, right? We think, oh man, that's horrible. It's a part of our history we don't like to talk about. We're embarrassed about. It's a shame we even did that. It's a shame Christians even enabled that, right? But that term there is deeper, okay? And Paul is referring to absolutely those who actually are slaves. Back then, you could be a slave. If you couldn't find work, you would go to a person's plantation or a farm, or you would go to a job site and say, hey, I will work for you for food. I will work for you for a housing. So you would live with that person. You were kind of like their second hand. You would technically be a slave, but they didn't treat them the same way some of slavery that we know, right? However, in other incidents, the slavery was absolutely heinous and evil and just as diabolical and dark as you can imagine, right? But Paul's dealing with them as Christians, saying, hey, if you have that slave, this is how you treat them. Slaves, if you have a master, this is how you treat them. But we can compare it today to our employees and employers, right? If we're an employee, we have an employer we should be faithful to, right? Why? Because the word doulos here gives us that. Devoted to one another to the disregard of one's own interest. Okay? That's what that terminology means there. So think about it. When I go to work, my boss is paying me to produce a service. It's not my interest. Now, yes, I'm getting paid, so I'm getting my benefit. But it's not my interest. I have to do it like my boss instructed me to, or how I've been trained to do it, right? And so this is talking about how being a disciple and create in a culture of evangelism even at your workplace. How do you do it? Number one, you be a good employee. It says you work to the Lord as to Christ, not as being watched as people pleasers, but you're trying to serve God at your job, all right? The problem in the workplace is a direct problem from home. The reason we have the epidemic of lack of work, lackadaisical attitudes at work, people being lousy, people not caring for other people's stuff, people, just poor management. You know why? Because it's happening at their house, dude. It's happening at their home. I promise you, sister, it's happening at their house. They're not a great, outstanding Christian and citizen at home, then they come to work and don't give a crap. Can I say that? Yeah, I think so. But hey, that doesn't work, right? And so you be a good citizen at home. You be a good servant at home. You do everything you do at home. And when you go to work, you do it as to the Lord. We here in the O'Toole clan, we have the motto of Colossians 3:23. Whatsoever you do, do it heartily, with all your heart, as to the Lord and not unto men. That is our motto because we want to teach our kids. We want to remind ourselves everything we do, we're doing it for God, right? That's how you create that culture of evangelism. Because now people see that and they're like, what is different with this guy? Now they're going to give you an opportunity to speak up and share the gospel, right? So often we like to run in headstrong and preach and share the gospel and people don't even know us. There's no relationship built. There's no integrity. There's no character. And they're like, well, okay, and God can use that. Don't get me wrong. God can and has and probably will use that. But can I tell you this? When you build a bridge of hard work ethic, when you're there, when you're faithful, trustworthy, people will listen to the testimony you have, right? Your words have backed your talk, okay? The walk has backed the talk. And so look at that, guys. You can be a good employee, but also you can be a good employer. How about our bosses out there? Huh? You can take care of your employees. Look what the word says. Number 7, verse here. Serve with a good attitude as to the Lord and not to people, knowing that whatever good each one does, slave or free, he will receive it back from the Lord. Do you know God's watching you? He talks to masters here, and masters, employers, boss, managers. Listen, treat your slaves the same way without threatening them, because you know that both their master, referring to Jesus Christ, and yours is in heaven, and there is no favoritism with him. There ain't no gray area there, guys. Treat your people like Jesus would treat them. Okay? Take care of your people. Don't try and swindle them. Don't tell them one thing and do another. When you say something, back it. That's how you take care of your employees. That's how you be a good Christian at the workplace. That's how you cultivate a culture of evangelism at the workplace, at home. And guys, guess what? You do that, God's going to give you an opportunity to share the good news. We don't just believe in lifestyle evangelism, like do good, and God will just like tractor beam people to you. No, the gospel is a spoken word. All right, the gospel is a given word to our lips to be shared. It's a story to be shared, absolutely. But how often you think people listen to you is if they can't trust you? How often you think people listen to you if they can't depend on you? They're not going to care what Jesus you're trying to sell. You don't even sell yourself well. You understand? Man, that is good teaching Paul gives us here. And I don't want you to miss that, because that's how we create evangelism. Listen, church, friend, whoever this video finds, you can be the hands and feet of Jesus by how you respond to this world, by how you respond to your family at home. How are you cultivating that, guys? Some of you are in that laboratory of marriage. Some of you are in the laboratory of parenting or being parented. Children, students, that's you, man. Love your parents. Take care of your parents. Honor them. It'll be well with you. You'll live a long life, God promises, if you honor your parents. But all of us, guys, are in the laboratory of submission. We are to submit ourselves one to another in the fear of Christ, as Christ submitted himself to the Father. He didn't lower himself. He didn't become less than the Father. No, his deity remained. Submitting is not lowering yourself and belittling yourself. Submitting is honoring others above yourself. You can do it. You should do it as a Christ follower. And even if you're not, guess what? That's the better way to live. I promise you. It'll be better for you. But of course, we love you. We thank you for tuning in. If you have any questions about not wasting your life. We want to help you with that. We don't want you to waste your life. We want you to live for eternity, because guess what? This life, guys, is a vapor. It's here one moment, gone the next. If you have any questions, concerns, if you'd like to talk about your next step in your faith, man, reach out to us, message us here, and I would love to talk to you directly about where you are on your journey to faith. Guys, we love you. Thank you for following our channel. Man, subscribe if you're not subscribed. Man, if you're a part of our church at Connection Richmond Hill, we love you. We thank you for this series. The video below is actually the next week as we talk about serving. You don't want to miss that. Check that one out. God bless, guys. Patrick's out, but I look forward to seeing you again very, very soon. Thank you.